Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Radio Dead Air Tech Q&A. You've got questions. We've got guesses. I'm Nash. Been doing Radio Dead Air for ages. In addition to that, I'm also an IT professional. With me, as always, my producer, Mike Gearman, who also works in IT. If you have tech questions for Mike and myself, you can send those to requests at radiodeadair.com. Hi, Mike.
Hey.
As we are recording this, the chairman of the Fed has just announced that they're trying to prosecute him on some trumped up perjury, ridiculous crap. And he's like, nah, I ain't having it.
Trumped up. Good term.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure tomorrow the markets are going to go berserk. And we've also had all the shit in Minneapolis, all the other, It's only January 11th.
Yeah.
And we are all holding our breath waiting for him to invade Greenland. So,
And to top it, I got a little bit of bad news myself this week. On the bad news scale of everything involved, it is about a 0.1 compared to the 7s, 8s, 9s, and things going on. That is, do you see this?
Yes.
Red Bull stopped making my favorite flavor. So,
I mean, yeah.
You had to do this now, guys. Thanks. Like I said, it's a 0.1.
Futures took a dive after the news on Powell. Yeah, I know. It's so anyway. Well, wait, there are more horrors to behold in the world because so many horrors out there. Starting with Grok. You may or may not have been following along with this. But I want to point out that the tech reporting on this has just been brutal. The Verge went off on The Verge. The fucking Verge went off on him.
Verge went off on him. 404 Media went off on him. Unexpected. Wired is now going off on him.
Even ours kind of did too.
Yeah, ours was not complimentary.
No, it's wild. As of right now, all right, if you are in a time capsule and watching this in a time capsule, if you're in the far future watching this, what's happened this week is they developed a nudify option for their LLM image generator AI crap over on Twitter or X.
They don't call it that. They say that there are guardrails that prevent this from happening. But if you can go to Reddit and get the prompt modifications you need to get around the guardrails, then there's no guardrails.
There are no guardrails. No. There is a, you can take off, you can edit any image you'd like to remove women's clothing. If you would be so, and make a picture that puts it on Twitter. And they've been using this on one of the actors from Stranger Things, who is 14 years old, which was Jesus H. Christ. It constitutes.
Now, they said we put a paywall around this part of thing, but no, they haven't.
No, they haven't. Reuters quoted Grok as saying, "Oh, I'm deeply very sorry," which was one of the more embarrassing media things because Grok is not a person. It's a text prompt thing.
Yes. And in fact, someone had to prompt it to say that. And then someone else prompted it to take the apology back. Another person prompted it to do the apology in Jar Jar Binks' voice. And so on, and so on, and so on. About the only thing you can't get Grok to do is say negative things about Elmo. I mean, Elon.
Yeah. It's so currently Malaysia and Indonesia have banned the app from Twitter/X or whatever it's banned in those countries now. The UK, Canada, and Australia are reportedly mulling over a ban at the moment. As a
group. EU is mulling over a ban?
Yeah. And Elon's position on this is you can't tell me what to do. He calls it free speech.
Yeah, he calls it's ridiculous. Because there are reasonable limits to free speech. Non-consensual porn, probably one of them. CSAM, definitely one of them.
This is illegal the stuff it generates is straight up illegal in the entirety of the United States. Just no one is upholding the law in any meaningful way.
I got to interject something here. The reason I put it probably on the first clause is because I'm not a lawyer and I have seen lawyers argue about it. I don't know how the courts would rule. Except California's got
pretty strong revenge porn laws, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. I'm not sure about everywhere else, but I do know California has some that they put in place.
And California also has some laws on publicity, images for publicity purposes, because of course, because of Hollywood and what happened in a number of cases where someone would take the image of someone. This is before AI was even a twinkle in anyone's eye. And they would take the image of someone and use them to advertise something that the person may or may not have even disagreed with, but they didn't have the control over it. And California's like, nah, that's not going to fly.
Even more here, neither Apple nor Google, who have removed other apps from the App Store for violating their terms of service, neither has removed the X or Twitter. I fucking whatever you want to call it app. Neither's removed them from their app stores, even though this is blatantly in breach of the terms of service.
And if you go on Blue Sky and do the right search, which I think is just app reporting, you can find the instructions for both Apple and Google stores to report the app. I don't know that additional reports will help, but I don't think they'll hurt. I think there probably is a threshold where they'll go, you know what, really, we got to do something about this. But apparently they are sitting around with their thumbs up their butts, not doing anything yet.
Tumblr was banned for a time. Tumblr, back when it was still pretty big. But they're not banning this, because this is, if we're at the point where it's rules for thee but not for me, then we got a big problem, because that's when you can take something. If you get banned from the App Store, that's when you can take it to court and say, hey, they're not upholding their rules equally. This is prejudicial. I am being affected while this company isn't. I'm going to sue them for money. And that can fly. You cannot have stated, we're treating everyone equally, and then say, and then just not treat this one the same as the others. That's grounds for a lawsuit. That's grounds for money. Whether they'll win or not is anybody's guess, but that is grounds for a lawsuit. And Twitter and Apple could both be liable for this, which I think they aren't even taking into account right now. So it's revolting, and every day it just ticks along, allowing to go on. Now, the EU is probably the loudest ones on this, and probably the most, but our government has promised retaliation if Twitter is banned in the EU, which is a whole new level of ridiculous crap. And I'm not sure how much this can keep going. If you're still on Twitter, fucking why?
Yes, exactly. I mean, news organizations shouldn't be there. CBS, that's not applicable to you. You're not a news organization anymore.
Yeah, you're not a news organization. Yeah.
If you're a politician, you shouldn't be on there. Mark Wayne Mullen, that doesn't apply to you. Yeah, if you're sport, you shouldn't be on there. Although I think a few of the sports organizations, their leaders like, no, you can't not be on Twitter. And in fact, you can't be on Blue Sky because our rules prevent it. And some of the sports franchises should just start going like, yeah, no, we're going to be wherever we want to be. And we don't want to be on the CSAM machine.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone would be willingly staying there. I'm sitting at this point where I'm of two minds on it because I've got my account parked and locked because I don't want someone to take my username. And other people are saying, well, you should just delete it anyway. But then yet other people are saying, no, I deleted my account and someone grabbed my username immediately and started posting shit. So I'm just leaving mine sit there for right now.
Exactly. I'm doing the same. Because I deleted everything I had there. Literally, I downloaded it, I deleted it. I then tweeted one thing and locked my account, which means I don't think anyone can see it.
No.
And that one thing was a variation on a Iron Sheik quote, and it's about Elmo. And I think everyone can now guess what it is.
I haven't posted there since I got onto Blue Sky and I completely migrated there. If you haven't tried Blue Sky yet, I'm much happier. The nuclear block is amazing. The controls I have on it are amazing. You kind of got to kickstart yourself a little bit, though. There are some trending tabs that'll help you get started. If you don't need
and there's starter packs you can find.
Yeah, and you don't need to use any of the algorithmic stuff if you don't want to. There's like Discover, and then there's Popular with Friends and other stuff. But if you don't want to use those feeds, you could just get the feeds of people you're following in chronological order with no ads and no.
And don't forget to follow Jerry.
Yeah. And bots get blocked fairly regularly, and it's not perfect. There are some issues, and the people running it have some bits of issues. In fact, I'm kind of looking over at the North Sky project, and I'm like, you know what? That might not be a bad idea. But it's right now, it is pretty much the main difference is there is no child sexual assault material on Blue Sky. That's put there by the owner who says this is cool. What the? Oh, more fun with AI. We're going to move right along onto Gmail. They have added. What?
More AI. Yay.
Yeah, they have more integrating Gemini, their AI thing, into Google Mail. They put out a blog post last week that says they're adding AI overviews to your inbox. They are also trying to do a bunch of other stuff, summaries and all this. You can turn them off. However, the catch is it also turns off things like automatic sorting into folders. And it also cuts off autocorrect and spell check and desktop notifications and just all of these features.
All the features that didn't have to be tied into it, but they tied them in specifically to try to keep you from turning this off. Guess what? People are still turning it off.
The reason they've tied it into essential features like this is they are trying to show investors that people are actually using the service. If they force people to if they include it in AI and say, look, people are using it, but they're not actually using it, it just looks like they are, they're essentially lying to investors. This is shuffling numbers around. This is garbage.
Yep.
If this was the next best thing to sliced bread, you wouldn't have to force people to use it.
No. I mean, literally the case. I mean, think about just the generic apps on your phone. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not counting a couple games I have on my phone desktop. I have the fitness app I use to track my walks.
Mm-hmm.
No one has to pay me. No one has to force that onto me. I did a search, said which is the best one out here, found it, used it. I have authentication apps. These are useful things. No one had to force me to use it. They don't have to force advertising into it. They're going, no, we convinced people that security was a good thing. It wasn't a hard convince.
No, it was.
Yeah. No app. Again, you don't have to sell that one. People go like, yeah, no, a note app on my phone. I need that.
The fact that they're not letting people decide not to use it says exactly how much trouble it's in general. And this is quite pretty much everywhere you look where it comes to this stuff. The first thing, like one of the most popular searches right now, ironically on Google, is how do I turn AI off?
Yeah,
that is people don't want. The irony here is if they weren't forcing people to use it, I'm pretty sure they would actually have some adopters just interested in trying it. But this is a kind of a desperation move. They're trying to get people, they're trying to make it look like it's more popular than it is. Discord, just to show you what.
Well, like I say, in the same week, Microsoft rebranded Office 365 to be Copilot 365. Again, most of the people I know who use Office 365 are not using the Copilot features. Admittedly, most of the people I know who are using Office 365 are using spreadsheet functions to do financial stuff where you don't want made-up numbers happening. Made-up numbers in your financials is bad. Yeah. Just ask Enron. It's a dated joke, but it works.
The minute I saw Microsoft doing that, renaming Office to Copilot 365, I thought of sysadmins all over the world getting like 20 emails in their inbox going, I can't find Office.
Absolutely.
Office has been deleted. Where'd Office go?
Especially with Windows 11, where you no longer have a quick launch bar. You can just pin things to your start menu or to your taskbar, which to me is not the same. I liked my quick launch bar. I wish I had it back at work.
What else? I was just saying Discord put out a survey this last week asking people, would they like AI included? What would you like? And within an hour or two, they shut it off because I'm pretty sure the results were so overwhelmingly negative that they might relaunch the survey at some point, trying to regroup on it. But yeah, the results were, I'm pretty sure, not great. I took the survey when I had the opportunity, and I pretty much gave them every option that says no. Do not put this in Discord. If you put this into Discord, I will find alternatives.
Now, I will say there was a thing going around very briefly about that survey saying, hey, this was an account grabber link, and apparently, no, that's not the case.
That's not true. That was a lie.
That was sent out. By someone who was supporting AI and was like, "This survey's going badly."
Yeah, it's that was a lie. Anyway, so in any event, I am investigating. I use Gmail for my own stuff, but I probably shouldn't anymore. I should probably start investigating stuff like Proton Mail or something. Maybe I'd see what the features they have, what they can add to it, because otherwise I can't. Stop getting into my shit and ruining it. Stop it. I ain't got time for this. I'm trying to juggle my fucking air conditioner blew the fuck up. I'm trying to figure out fucking loans and APRs. I am 30 or 40 years old and I have no time for this shit. Okay? Stop it with all. I'm a little stressed these days. Can't you tell?
Just a little bit.
Just a tiny skosh. I don't like. There was this article I linked to on my Blue Sky today. This guy who was trying to like, here's what's going to happen. It said after the bubble pops, it said, well, one of the options going to happen is most likely we'll just treat it like a normal technology. It'll be added to like the internet and email and other things. And
no, because a lot of the servers are going to shut down because they can't afford to keep paying for things without money coming in. A lot of the data centers that are being built will be stopped. The lucky ones will be far enough along in their construction that they can rent the space to something else. A large enclosed space with lots of air conditioning, you'll find a use for it somehow, even if it is the biggest indoor flea market in Ohio.
Actually, there's a problem with that. Trump administration gave permission to a lot of these data centers to be built on Superfund sites that aren't being cleaned up. I'm not kidding. I'm not freaking kidding.
Fantastic.
So give them a discount on the land to build data centers on heavily polluted. Yeah, I know. It's wouldn't you love to work there, huh?
Yeah. But the only ones I can think of off the top of my head that might survive the bubble bursting are the ones that are hyper limited in scope as to what they do, because they're not doing the pictures and the text and everything else. They're doing coding in this narrow-ish area. Those might survive because the data set's already there. They don't got to do a bunch of additional crunching necessarily, but I could be well wrong there. That's the only one that comes to mind because image gen, very data intensive, very processor intensive, very, however they charge for it, token intensive. Text, similarly. Yeah.
Most of AI right now is heavily subsidized. It is investment money is coming in, but it's not profitable. They're trying to build it. They keep demanding more and more build out, more data centers, more space for these things. When it came to the internet, once the internet infrastructure was already in place, they were all good. You could add to it, but the internet still worked. We had dial-up for a long time. The internet pretty much functioned. Then we moved to broadband. It was a long, slow process, but the base technology was there from the beginning and did not require constant, incredible amounts of money. Like the build-out for broadband was not nearly so crazy. It took over a decade or so before it became.
And there were a few scam job companies in that broadband build out who took in a lot of money, didn't provide a lot of service, and went under. But we have broadband in general now.
Yeah, this is a technology that keeps demanding more investment every single quarter, and we're not talking a little investment. We're talking build out in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Every single quarter. The internet was nothing. There's no other technology I can think of aside maybe the freaking moon landing that is as heavily subsidized as AI. And that was an investment. That was tax dollars. This is supposed to turn a profit. This is supposed to pay people back. I don't know how that's going to happen. Magic pony fairy farts or something. I don't know. Last question. Again, everything's sort of kind of related to AI right now. We have a DDR5 shortage because we've gone into it in previous episodes. The AI companies have redirected the production lines to very specific server grade memory for their specific uses that are not compatible with home use. They're purchasing them all up, blah, blah, blah. It's gotten to this crazy point. We talked about the RAM adapters that allowed you to use laptop RAM in desktop machines because it's essentially the same chip, just in a different form factor. Well, people have taken that a little bit further. The limitation on using that adapter, for example, is we talked about signal degradation. You have to have more direct connections. Putting an adapter in the way reduces signal quality, and you have to slow down the RAM. Well, Modder in Russia has figured out that you can just take those chips off of SD, the SODIMM, the laptop RAM DIMMs, and build your own sticks of RAM for $130 cheaper than the cost of desktop RAM right now. Now, while you get reporting on this, it's like, wow, this is a great idea. No, it is not. Do you know how to reball?
This is what you do when you're desperate.
Mike, can you reball? Do you reball? I reball. Do you reball? How about you at home? Do you reball? Have you reballed? Can you reball? Do you know how to reball? Have you asked your parents about reballing? Reballing. All right. The bottom of a chip, a RAM chip, has a bunch of little pads on it. The little metal contact points where it attaches to the chip itself. And you can see right here, I'll try and make this bigger so you can have a look at it. These points, where the arrow is pointing to, those are the contact points where the chips affix to the PCB. The problem is you can't, this isn't like, back in the day where you had a soldering iron, you could solder chips to things. All of it is kind of underneath the chip in all these little pads. So what you have to do is you have to set up a little tiny jig that has a cutout for all of these little holes and they're all custom, for where all of the pads are. And you have to take little itty bitty tiny solder balls and attach them to the bottom of the DDR RAM chip. And then you have to use hot air. You can't use a soldering iron on this. You have to use hot air to blow on it with a lot of flux, because if you think, doesn't the solder connect all the points? No. If you use enough flux, then solder will only connect from metal to metal and it won't bridge to other pieces of solder. So you can use hot air, and that's before we had, the wave soldering, and we had the machines where they just soldered as an entire slate at once. You can replace individual chips with hot air like this. The only trouble is it is intensely expensive because you need specific tools, you need specific materials, you need to know what you're doing, and you can still fuck it up. Because these are designed to be assembled by a machine. They are not designed to be hand assembled. Repairing them is possible, but it's incredibly tricky. A lot of this surface mount stuff is never meant to be repaired. So what he's doing is, it's a neat idea and everything, but it seems to me it would just be more headache than actual worth your time to do. Personally, if I had the choice between this and the adapter, I'd use the adapter. At least I'd be sure the RAM would actually work.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're thinking about something like this, you go with the adapter, please. Yeah. You're going to spend a lot less time in frustration. And
but these are the lengths people are going to. This is for a 32 gig kit. And it's $130 cheaper than, apparently a 32 gig kit sitting around $300, $400 right now. I remember when those were half of that, if that. In fact, they were under 200 for a while there. Prices were coming down, and then all this stupid shit. We are in the stupidest time of my life. And I say this as someone who used to drink a lot. And I didn't think there would be a stupider time in my life. Oops. Stupidest time to be alive. I swear, I cannot. I'm so frustrated. Every day this year has been something. It's January 11th, and every day has been some new shit. So yeah, don't do this. It's a neat in practice for an experiment to just prove it's possible. Sure, don't do this. I would not recommend this to anyone. Don't screw with if you do not have experience with this and know exactly what you're doing, don't flip and do it. Like I've even tried. I've got a mini hot plate like a reheat station. I guess it's a hot plate, it's a heat plate, whatever it is. I've got one of those where you can like set things on it and it will melt the solder on them. It's a little one, but that's what you use with like solder paste and stuff. So you don't have to use, a soldering iron or hot. Sometimes the surface mount components are so tiny that when you use hot air, you can actually blow them away. So you have to use the hot thing to melt but don't do that. It's a pain in the ass and not worth it. All right, let's get to your questions this week. If you've got tech questions for us, you can send those to request@radiodeadair.com. Let's see what we already got. This is from Diagoras87. Hey, Nash and Mike. Recently, I got an automatic mechanical wristwatch. I actually kind of like this question because it's interesting. It's not one that comes up a lot these days, but it is still kind of relevant. It has a warning on it that says it should be kept away from magnets and magnetic devices at a distance of 5 centimeters. A lot of phones, computer peripherals, and other devices use magnets fairly often, and I'm worried about how they could affect it. I have, in particular, a game controller that uses Hall effect analog sticks, magnetic door in my computer, and, of course, speakers. I wonder if there's anything else I should look out for when using the watch near my computer. Under normal circumstances, things that would, under normal circumstances, escape notice. Sorry if this is a silly question. Not exactly. It used to be with computer technology in particular that magnets were anathema. You could not bring magnets anywhere near your computer because for a number of reasons. One of them was your screen. When we were using CRTs, magnets would trip the degaussing and could also screw up if you held a magnet over your screen, you could just screw up the image and you'd have to demagnetize it.
Yeah. If it was like the simple fridge magnet, you just go, oh, it made pretty colors. And then you take it away and it goes back to normal. You use a stronger magnet, it would make stranger colors and would stay there longer. And if you used a really strong magnet, your dad would yell at you.
We also pretty much all of our storage was magnetic based. Now it's much more limited. You can buy a new laptop that doesn't have a trace of magnetic storage in it, and LEDs and LCDs aren't affected by magnets. So most new computers, ever since we've started moving away from hard drives, except for most specific applications, you don't really need to worry about magnets. But there are still some, because you don't need to worry about it so much, they become more prevalent. They're like magnet snaps to hold computers shut. They're magnet cases. They're putting them on other things. Now, of these things you don't have to worry about, the Hall effect joysticks, you don't have to worry about. They are so confined and shielded. It's not going to have any impact whatsoever on your watch. Speakers, computer speakers in particular, are shielded. This has been like traditional since back in the day, because back in the day, we're talking about speakers, you'd have to have speakers on either side of your screen. And with the CRT, if the speakers weren't shielded, you'd screw up your monitor. So computer speakers started to come by default with the magnets shielded, so they couldn't interfere with anything else around them. So computer speakers, not a big issue. The issues that is, people have started using magnets a lot more now for things like holding things in place, for connectors. Cases have magnetic closure, like desktop cases have magnetic panels on the side.
The charger I use for my phone uses a magnet to talk to the other end of the charger, because no data transfer. It's a magnet to hold it there and transfer electricity.
Yeah. So that's where you need to be more concerned about your watch. I would give what you have a once over. The magnets we tend to use are actually unreasonably strong, I would call them, because since we don't have to worry about hard drive corruption anymore and screens and all that, we've started using much stronger stuff like neodymium. They're very powerful magnets, probably more powerful than they need to be, and those could potentially affect things. I would make a note of where and what the magnets are and where they are, and keep an eye on that. As far as how to protect your watch, if we're talking about like a mechanical clockwork wristwatch, I'm not sure there's a good way to shield it or protect it. Even if, especially it's got a warning on it, don't bring it near magnets. That's going to be kind of hard to do. So you're going to have to just make a mental note of where they are. But for the computer stuff itself, the inside of the computer, typically your speakers, you don't have to worry about that. Those are fine. And the Hall effect stuff, that's such a small magnetic field. They don't need a powerful magnet in there. They don't use a powerful magnet in there. So such things as magnetic sleeves or something that could shield magnetic effects. Well, Sapphire Cat, I mean, there are ways to shield against it. I guess you'd have to look that up, as non-ferrous material would probably do something to shield. They have to be able to shield them somehow. I mean, they shield computer magnets. I'd have to look. I've never looked into the process myself. It's just, over time, I don't have any devices anymore that I have to worry about magnets with. It's weird. But after a while, it just sort of dropped off as being an issue. So that's the best I can say, is just track where they are, figure out where they are, figure out what's using them. Man, today I was in the store, I was in the grocery store, and I saw they were selling shower heads that are held on to their, the shower sprayers, held magnetic holder. It clamps on with a magnet. There's no more of those clips anymore, just magnet holds it in place. I'm like, wow, they're freaking everywhere. All right. Vince, we were just talking about this. Hey guys, can you go over the alternatives to Microsoft Office, please? I'm not about to put up with them calling it Microsoft Copilot now, but I need something better than Google Docs for office tasks. All right.
Okay. So if you don't want to spend any money, I would LibreOffice.
LibreOffice is one of the most prominent. LibreOffice is one of the most prominent open source versions of Office. It was originally part of a project called OpenOffice, but then someone decided they wanted to try to monetize it and screw it up. So, like with a lot of open source software, the people who were developing it said, screw that, and they forked off their own version, which became LibreOffice. It's the same base as OpenOffice, but no bullcrap. Now, the downside of that is you are at the mercy of people who are coding in their own time, who aren't really getting paid to do it. But they do it is good software. It doesn't suck. It's very well put together. I think there's donations to pay people to do it now, because that's an option for the sort of thing. It's a full suite. It's viable. It's mostly compatible with Office. I will say that Office loves to use proprietary formats for no other reason than to make things incompatible with other Office suites, like DocX format.
And let's be clear, even sometimes with earlier Microsoft products, I had to write recently a script. Admittedly, this function was in the Office, to convert doc files to docx files. It is not as simple as renaming them. And XLS files to XLSX files. And do this basically as a batch job. My first pass, I coded poorly. I'm going to acknowledge this. It ran, if you had 3,000, it would try to launch 3,000 conversion processes. That's bad. That'll slow down even your best computer. The current version goes, convert the first one. You're done. Second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, and does it just one at a time until it cranks through all the ones you have.
The only limit I would think is if you're using an email client like Outlook. LibreOffice doesn't have its own email client. The alternative to that is a client called Thunderbird. It's from the Mozilla Foundation. That is a little bit contentious right now because Firefox started going, well, we kind of want to use AI, maybe just a little tiny ooh-woo, a little bit of AI, maybe. And people are like, wow, we're going to fork your shit. There already like a fork of it called Waterfox now that people are going, there's no AI in this one. It's the same base software. Just get the hell off, which is really funny. Yeah. The problem with...
Another thing I was going to say, if you want to pay for an Office suite, I would recommend WordPerfect. That's me. I loved WordPerfect back in the day. I paid for it.
Yeah.
I don't have a copy now, but if I needed it, yeah, I'd look at it.
Yeah, the Thunderbird is it's also not integrated into LibreOffice like, say, Outlook is integrated into regular Office. So other people have said there's only Office. WordPerfect still in use. The most prominent one that's an alternative to Microsoft Office is LibreOffice. And the benefit of being the most prominent is the more people are developing for it. That's how you know it's going to be around for a while, and it's not going to just if enough people are working on an open source project, it's much harder for someone outside of it to screw with it. Because if you start to screw with an open source project, everyone will go, the hell with that, and they will fork off. And,
And yes, to answer the chat, yes, WordPerfect is still in use. You can buy new versions of it right now. And the reason it was popular, and the reason it remains popular in certain fields, such as the legal field, is that unlike Microsoft's products, it counts all the words in your document without additional check boxes being checked. This is important in the legal field because lawyers are given word count limits by judges. Now, if you're given a word count limit by a judge and you go over, that judge may be unhappy. Now, if you go over by like 2 words, they're not going to notice because that's not going to be noticed on a, this is about the right number of pages. Yeah, that we're not going to count. You go over by several hundred words because it didn't count your footnotes, which is what Word didn't do. And the judge goes, Lawyer Bob, what's wrong with you? Can't you count?
So that's the best I can tell you on that one. The other downside is the online sharing and stuff. I'm not personally experienced with how LibreOffice has with Office sharing and a lot of the other features that Microsoft Office touts about their online stuff. I'm sure they have something. I'm sure something has been developed for it, and there is that sort of functionality to be had.
A good thing to look to see whether certain features you want are there. Of course, go to the site and check out the site. But see which European countries have made the news lately for saying, we're getting rid of Office. Look what they're replacing with.
Okay. Next one. This is from Dimitri. Hi, Nash and Mike. My computer started acting up this week, and I didn't change anything. When I'm in the middle of Helldivers 2, it will shut down completely. I don't get a blue screen or anything. It starts back up with no problems, and I can play other things like Balatro or Fallout 4 or Skyrim. It doesn't give me any problems. It's only with Helldivers 2. Machine is an Acer Nitro 50-120, Ryzen 5700G. I'm going to say, I hope that's a typo there, because you wrote 166 gigabytes of DDR4. You're a rich man.
I'm going to guess it's supposed to be 16, but
you could buy a small house with that. No, probably 16 gigabytes DDR4, 1 terabyte SSD, RTX 3060 Ti, and a 500 watt PSU. I don't know what brand. We'll come back to that. Any ideas? Thanks, Dimitri. Okay. For most systems, if typically what I've seen is when systems power off with no blue screen, they just shut down. That's a couple things. That is potentially chronic overheating, which that's it. The system has hit a point where if it continues to run, it will damage itself. So it shuts down. Normally, you notice before chronic overheating hits. However, your frame rate will drop. You will get some warnings. Everything will be hard to use. Your mouse will start getting slow. That's your indication that there is a chronic overheating problem. So if it's not doing that, the next issue can be the power supply. That's when a power supply starts failing or can't provide enough power, or gets damaged, or it's connected to something else that's damaged, it will shut itself off to save itself. That's the safety mechanism in there is it's like, oh shit, something's wrong. I don't want to destroy anything else. Off. And there's a problem with yours, however, because you have got a pre-built system. Now, a lot of pre-built systems decide they're going to use proprietary connectors and proprietary hardware. They make their own motherboards that won't work in anything else. And those motherboards will have weird and wacky connectors that won't work with off-the-shelf parts. In this case, and I'll try and show you here. Let me bring this up. Show you the inside of the Nitro 50-120. Get a picture here. Come on, give me a picture. All videos. I don't want videos. I want picture. Give me picture. Images. Fuck's sake. Here's this one? Okay, do we have images? No. Why don't you do picture? I don't want to watch. Oh my God. Just how useful is a video when I'm trying to get inside a computer to repair it and you want to show me a freaking video? What's wrong with you?
I found one image. Not a great image. The angle's off. You can't see much of the motherboard. It does look like he uses a standard power supply, which is nice.
No, I looked up this one. It doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't? So it's got a standard power supply looking box for the power supply, but it's not standard.
All right.
Fantastic.
Let me see if I can just. Hi, Charlie. How you doing? Well, I can show you the power supply itself and how it's weird. Oh, good. Someone did a review of the damn thing. I can look inside and show you what it looks like inside. Good. All right, let's have a look here. This is the closest I can get. What they do with these proprietary power supplies is instead of having a 24-pin connector that connects 12 volts, 3 volts, and 5 volts along a bunch of different pins. That's what your 24-pin connector, the big long connector that comes out of your computer, comes out of your power supply. I'm going to show you what a 24-pin connector looks like. This one. This big mamba jama here. Come on. Open image. Yeah. Put it over here on the screen. Get it. I'm so prepared for all of these things. Hooray. Yeah, this is a 24-pin power supply inside of your computer, or the 24-pin connector. This is the main power connector that comes off your power supply. It provides 12-volt power to certain parts of your computer that require 12 volts, 5-volt power to other parts like your USB that requires 5 volts and other things, and in some cases even 3-volt power, which I believe is used by M.2 drives and a couple other things use 3.3 volts. Any kind of, most computers use those 3 voltages straight up. Well, computer manufacturers thought, what if we make the power supplies cheaper by only supplying 12 volts and then let the motherboard convert that 12 volts to 5 volts wherever it needs it. That way, the motherboard will have the more expensive parts on it and the power supply can be cheap. And that's been a project Intel's put into, or a couple others have put into project, the 12 volt, the ATX 12 volt standard, which they hasn't caught on for several reasons because it's not really compatible with a lot of things. Your motherboard has to be specifically designed to use it.
Manufacturers don't like it.
Yeah, motherboard manufacturers don't like it because it makes the motherboards more expensive. Well, if you look in here, it's hard to see. This is the inside of your system. You have 2 connectors inside of there. One is a regular connector for the CPU power. That's a 4-pin that comes off the motherboard. The other is a simple 6-pin connector, and that provides 12 volts and nothing else. The only power going into that computer that does have an extra power you can plug into your video card and whatnot, but the only power going into the motherboard itself is 12 volts, which means you can't just replace that power supply yourself. Considering your system seems to be from about 2022, 2021, you're out of warranty, unfortunately. So there are adapters. You want to look for a 24-pin to 6-pin adapter. Well, we haven't got there yet. This could be the power supply failing. It's hard to tell. You would have to get a replacement in there to find out. And again, you'll need an adapter. The 24-pin to 6-pin, all it does is whatever pins on the 24-pin provide 12 volts, it just connects those. And the 3 volt and 5 volts aren't connected. And just sends that 12 volts to, it's a 24-pin to 6-pin. That will allow you to use an off-the-shelf power supply with this system. But you're going to have to find, could only be one of the issues there. And it's the most, in my mind, that tends to be the biggest culprit when things get weird. I've had issues with mine before. My system would turn off when it was getting really into, like I was playing a video game very intensely. I think it was doing a lot when I was doing Baldur's Gate 3 on stream. And my system would just shut down. I wouldn't get a blue screen or anything. It would just shut off. And I come to find out I had an extension on my 12-volt cables to get them, because my case is a little weird. So I had an extender to get them from the power supply over to the connector on the motherboard. And it turns out that connector was badly made. And when I replaced it with a better made one, the problem went away because it was providing power properly again. And it wasn't, I think when it started providing too much, it overheated and it just sort of, Charlie. Okay, buddy, you've climbed all the way to the ceiling. Now where are you going? Straight down. Okay, great. Smart cat. Hi. So if it's not overheating, and the thing you can check the overheating is open up the system, which will help. Take the side off of it and look inside for one, see if anything is clogged with dust. And first of all, and if it is, get a duster air can if you don't have an electric one, or an electric one if you want one for, going forward. Blow out take it outside, blow out all the dust inside, clean that out. Then take it back inside, turn on, and see which fans start spinning. There's a fan in the back, there's a fan on the CPU, and there's a fan on the GPU. The GPU fan might not start spinning when your computer starts up. Those are designed sometimes to only kick in when they're needed. They have a 0 RPM mode, is what it's called. So just start playing the game, or any game, and watch the fan on your GPU and see if that starts spinning, because it should when it starts getting used. Make sure all of those are working right. If any of those fans aren't spinning right or blowing it out, try playing the game with the side open and see if it changes. That's the easiest diagnosis for overheating. If the game stops crashing, you may have a problem with airflow in the box, or it might have just been clogged and you've solved it. That's good. If it doesn't and it starts crashing again, that could be crashing without a blue screen. Tends to point, at least in my mind, power's the first thing I'd check. After that, I'd start.
What I'm seeing online, because I wanted to check, wouldn't be the first time they underpowered a pre-built system. And I've seen a lot of people say 500 watts is not necessarily enough for a 3060, especially on an intensive game.
So you might want to consider like a 650 watt power supply would probably be all you need. You might want to look into upgrading your power supply. But if the power supply can't put out enough power, it will stop. The video card isn't getting enough power, and the video card will shut down, and it will just gone. So they have two screens. Put something in like hardware info 32 on the other screen. Yeah, Raritor. I mean, you can see if what your voltages look like. That's an option. Program called Hardware Info. It's a free program. It will show you all the voltage of your system. But if you don't know what you're looking at, this is a little hard to read. It will tell you, however, if anything's weird, like if you're overheating, if something like that. Yeah. I had the Sapphire Cat mentions, you could hook up a TV to it as a second monitor. That would work. Typically when it powers off like that without a blue screen, that signals a hardware failure. And the most common one associated with that is a power problem. But there could be other things, because there are so many things that can go wrong in a computer. The first one I would look at is a power issue. So that's the one I would check on first. See if after you clear it out, after you clean it out, make sure the fans are working right. Then I would look into maybe getting a newer power supply, 650 watt with a 24 pin to 6 pin adapter. That's what you need to look for. And that should get you up and running again, and see if it behaves itself from there. And if you're not sure about how to install a power supply, just there are a lot of online guides that will show you how to do it. It's not hard to do. It's basically just take the thing out, unplug the wires, plug new wires back in. They only go one way, and they only go in certain places. You can't plug them in wrong unless you really try. I tell people when I've always, when I've been working on computers, I tell people, you can't plug these in wrong. They're keyed a certain way. But my God, people will do it. They don't.
I have a story.
Go ahead.
So back when I was in school many years ago, one of my engineering professors was talking about this very issue. This wasn't computers, mind you. He was talking about generic engineering. And he said, I have a VW microbus. And the VW microbus manual says that the distributor cap cannot be put on backwards. And I'm here to tell you that is incorrect. Because he repaired his car and he put the distributor cap back on backwards, unbeknownst to him. And of course, the engine's not timing properly. Go figure. And so he got the clever idea to prime the carburetor with a little bit of gasoline.
No.
And then his thought process went like this. That little blue light is getting brighter. That's not getting brighter. That's getting closer. Whoosh. Turned off the car, took off the distributor cap, put it back on the other way around. It will absolutely go on backwards.
I've noticed power supply had like they have PCIe connectors on certain ones that are meant to go into your video card, and 4-pin connectors which are meant to be supplemental CPU power. And I have seen people, even though I have seen they're not keyed properly, but I have seen people shove the PCIe connector. Well, at least one person, I remember this from my Dell days, put the PCIe connector into the CPU port.
Okay.
They forced that fucker in there. It was halfway hanging out, but they got, God bless them, they got it in there. And people in the channel are like, yikes. Yeah, the difference here is they both provide 12 volts. But the key difference is they provide 12 volts to different pins. So what they did was they sent 12 volts to ground in some instances and ground to 12 volts. And I had to go out and fix it. And I was like, there's nothing to fix.
My absolutely favorite tech support story of someone, I'm just to toss this one out there, of someone being sent to fix a computer. It was a 2-hour drive one way for this support call. He drives out 2 hours, gets there, says, let me see the computer I need to fix. He looks at the situation, says, you're kidding, right? Like, no. Everything on the computer, monitor, computer itself, etc., is plugged into a power strip. The power strip is then plugged into the same power strip.
Mm.
He unplugged it from the power strip, plugged it into the wall, and magically everything worked. And then he drove 2 hours back and booked them for 4 hours of charge.
Yeah. You will pay for your stupidity, cash or charge. Anyway, the point I was making is, unless you force them, power supply cables are keyed one way. They're only supposed to go in to certain connectors. Unless you force them, and then you're on your own. Anyway, Dimitri, let us know. First, start with the cleaning. That's a good place to start and deal with any overheating issues. Once you get past that, let us know. See it. Tell us how it turns out. Hopefully, we helped you out there. All right, that's going to do it. I don't think we have anything else. Let me double check. Did we get any more in? No, we didn't get any more in. Let me look. No, there we go. All right, so that is going to do it for this week. We'll be back next week on Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you have tech questions for me and Mike, send those to request@radio.air.com, and we will attempt to help you out. For Mike and myself, we will see you next time. Good night, everybody.